Hello, beautiful. Take this off. It's hot in here. Want to hear a funny story? Hear a funny story about one of your sons? See, I was doing the dog things outside, doing all the kennels, getting the, getting their food in, getting their water in. And it was just blew out while I was laying down some of the straw. And because the trash cans were moved, I forgot that there's like that little slit there. So Blue gets out, and he's been gone for like, I don't know, 10 minutes. Because I was doing the straw things. I was trying to like cut the thing and do the things. I was in his kennel, and Blue's doing blue things. So I was just like, ah, it's fine. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Blue's been going for 10 minutes. You know what he does though? He comes back with a dead animal, and I'm like, oh, gross. But then I was just like, kind of relatable. This is kind of what he does, right? He goes out, gets dead animals or kills animals. I don't know, and brings it back. Anyway, I threw it across the street, but gross. Also kind of cool though. I actually don't know what it was. Maybe it's one of the moles. I took a picture. I put it on the ground. Took a picture of like what he brought me before I threw it over in the bushes. He's like the grossest guy. Yeah, he went out, got it, brought it home. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's a funny lad. Fair trade, yeah. I did give him a snack. Uh, because he came back on his own, I gave him the old sushi roll. And I put him back in his little kennel, gave him the sushi roll, said good boy. Yeah, 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 yeah. He brings back the grossest things, but he does bring back something. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's see, game. Oh, it's already plugged in there. Cool, 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 He'd be great to have on a farm. Yeah, he's like a big cat. Yeah, we couldn't have cats. He is the cat. One big cat. Okay, let's see what's on the YouTubes there.
Minnesota has become ground zero for government incompetence, waste, fraud, and abuse. And if we lived in a sensible society, the people running that state would be removed from power permanently.
That's right, but this lawless sanctuary is doubling down on rebellion as the federal government closes in, discovering massive levels of fraud that just seem to grow day by day while making arrests of fugitives, raiding businesses, and dealing with out-of-control mobs who think they're fighting to save America.
They got their guns out.
A violent scene in South Minneapolis on Monday as ICE zeroes in on this car. New video from a neighbor shows ICE shattering the window before detaining the male driver. Minutes later, agents detain the woman in the passenger seat.
Asha, anything you want to say to taxpayers? She isn't talking to 5 Investigates, but in court, Asha Hassan admitted to a years-long scam through her business, Smart Therapy.
Guys, this is unbelievable. You have the Feeding the Future program, which is feeding people that are desperate. They were bilking that, sending it back to Somalia. Autism, taking kids, putting them into programs they don't need, but they took the money, gave it to the parents, and they sent it back to Somalia in many cases.
New today, federal prosecutors announced now a second fraud case in the autism program. The owner of Star Autism Center in St. Cloud, Abdi Najib Yusuf, is accused of using a strikingly similar technique to steal more than $6 million taxpayer dollars.
Now, we're talking 15, 20 billion, right? For reference, the entire gross domestic product of the nation of Somalia is $12 billion.
So this is now being called industrial scale fraud in Minnesota. And what nobody's talking about is this right here. It's all happening under the leadership of a group of politicians that control things at the local level, stretching all the way up to a potential vice president in Tim Walz. Which means if 2024 had gone differently, all of these scams we're just learning about would have been covered up. But the fraud armada steamrolling Minnesota, it wouldn't have stopped there. Oh no, in fact, it probably would have been exported to all 50 states, even red states. Meanwhile, those attacking federal agents on the streets of this city who are enforcing the law for the first time in a long time believe this is all fake news and are rallying behind their lawless leaders, who allegedly have benefited from these schemes, which form a very disturbing web of connections. Connections among Minnesota's notorious trio of leaders who spend so much time attacking Trump, they've been unable to spend time tackling fraud in their own state, with massive amounts of money being extracted from our country through laws they championed or helped promote, while this sanctuary marches on in rebellion. Which brings us to the real reason all of these investigations are heating up. The industrial fraud complex is a major threat to our entire country. And with similar schemes being discovered in Maine and in the California homeless industrial complex, it sure looks like this sort of thing could already be happening in other parts of America, where just as in Minnesota, illegal activities been ignored, whistleblowers scoffed at, and potentially threatened with retaliation, just for contacting the overseers of their state, asking them to save it from itself. But we're now learning that some of this stolen money has been leaving America in the most bizarre of manners.
A former TSA agent reveals that Somalis, always in two, have been leaving the Minneapolis-St. Paul airport every single week with suitcases full of cash. American money, by the way, of course, taxpayer money.
I also saw this report, Charlie, that people, Somalis, were traveling with suitcases full of cash through the TSA, which evidently you're allowed to do, but they also take pictures of it and record it, and that was going back to Somalia.
Is this true? Were people taking stolen government money and putting it in a suitcase and leaving the country? That's wild. And while there are many folks from countries all across the globe who've legally come to America and love it here and do not commit crime of any kind, local leaders are using this recent spate of investigations to demonize the president and act as if he's singling people out, attacking them for no reason. Something they use to rile up the mobs of anti-ICE agitators who are using the exact same tactics we see the riot mobs use in California and in Portland, Oregon, and in Chicago to resist the federal government.
A 10th Street standoff in South Minneapolis. Crowds grew fast, circling ICE agents near the Carmel Mall.
This group is getting larger here, and they're chasing after ICE.
This operation turned chaotic fast.
This was definitely by far the worst.
You gotta ask yourself, what is going through the heads of people who want to attack officers of the law as they enforce the law? Don't these rioters know that everyone's innocent until proven guilty? And if somebody's in the country illegally, they've broken the law and should be held accountable? We all know the answer to this. We know why they're out there. These are people who are responding to what they see. They see ICE in their neighborhood, and it makes them furious because here they are, a sanctuary city that disagrees with U.S. immigration law and thinks fraud is okay as long as it's fraud connected with a legitimate purpose, which is why they're out there claiming to be peaceful protesters resisting the tyranny of the Trump administration, an administration which is actually doing America a big favor by stopping our entire country from getting plundered.
Prosecutors, Dana, in Minnesota have been warning and still warning that we're looking at the tip of the iceberg in terms of the extent of this fraud in Minnesota. As you mentioned, 6 new indictments and 1 guilty plea were announced yesterday as federal agents executed a search warrant on Ultimate Home Health Services, a Somali-owned home care agency. The new indictment zeroes in on the autism program called Early Intensive Developmental and Behavioral Intervention, or EIDBI, and zeroed in on housing stabilization programs. In the case of the housing stabilization programs, the Assistant U.S. Attorney Joe Thompson says defendants claim to provide housing assistance to people with mental illness.
That's crazy. So you've got businesses that are supposed to provide housing to the less fortunate and autism-related services, and these businesses are out there running all kinds of schemes. Why should these businesses be defended by mobs in the street? Why should the governor and elected officials come out and say, oh, Trump, he's full of it, none of this is actually happening, these numbers are all fake? That's what they're saying. They're denying that this stuff is even happening. And I guess they have to in a way because you know what? It's been happening for a long time. And if they come out and they say, yeah, the federal government did find something wrong here, thank you for telling us, they're going to look like fools. They don't want to look like fools, so what they're going to do is they're going to double down on the fact that they truly believe this has never happened, that there's truly no problem here, and that the federal government is just this wicked institution totally weaponized against Minnesota, which is what the governor himself has said.
Provided no service. Thompson used the term fraud tourism, claiming 2 men from Philadelphia learned there was easy money in Minnesota, so they flew into the state, set up shop, and started billing the government. As far as defrauding the autism programs, Thompson introduced 1 new case of a defendant recruiting parents, getting bogus documents for a diagnosis of autism for the child. The parents would then get a kickback from the money intended to treat the autistic child.
What we're seeing is programs that are just entirely fraudulent. These aren't companies that are providing some services but overbilling Medicare or Medicaid. These are companies that are providing essentially no services.
Because providing a service would actually require the schemers to do real work. It's much easier for these schemers to rent a building somewhere, put a sign on the front door, tell people they've got some sort of clinic, and recruit a whole bunch of parents to get their kids diagnosed with stuff they don't have, and then to just do nothing and pay the parents as if they're employees and part of your scheme, which they are. This is just terrible. Apparently, people went to some of these businesses and saw that, you know, there's luxury SUVs parked out front, but the doors are closed. There's nobody there. The lights aren't on. Nobody's coming in and out. It's like an obvious type of scam going on here. Yet the governor says this was impossible to figure out.
Have wanted to stop this? Would I have gone out? You know, if you think the governor goes out and checks somebody on Medicaid and that they were there, no, but that's somebody in government needed to do that. And if they didn't do that, or if there were loopholes in this, and what we found is these are poorly written and it left openings, and the goal was to get the money out. We'll fix that.
We'll fix it.
Yeah, I'll take accountability for it. But what you're seeing here is you're seeing a weaponization. We'll continue to fix it. They're going to continue to come up with numbers that don't have it there. And
okay. So Governor Walz says the numbers are fake. He says this is all weaponization, but at the same time, he's going to fix it. And at the same time, it was impossible for him to personally know that there was something wrong going on here. Never mind the fact that whistleblowers came out and reported this stuff years ago and were basically told to pound sand by the Attorney General.
The first defendant accused of stealing more than $14 million taxpayer dollars through the state's autism program confessed to her crimes. Asha, anything you want to say to taxpayers? She isn't talking to 5 Investigates, but in court, Asha Hassan admitted to a years-long scam through her business, Smart Therapy. Prosecutors say since 2019, Hassan and others paid kickbacks to families to treat their kids for autism, whether they had it or not, and then bill Medicaid for services never provided.
Now, they're billing the federal government, and that's the problem here. It's not like this is some local Minnesota-related thing where they're funding their own fraud schemes through the money of their own taxpayers only, and the only victims here are people who paid into this system and happen to live in Minnesota. No, this is robbery of the entire country, because the way this works is these federal programs, they're administered by the states. So each state is in charge of the checks, the balances, and the administration of these systems. And people in Minnesota figured out they could take advantage of it. We also heard how people from Philadelphia traveled to Minnesota to make one of these fake clinics of their own and do the exact same thing.
Okay, so there's nothing new. Oh, day 9. I'm so excited. So he must have found the underwater thing, because there's a picture of it right there. I wonder how he found it so easily. This is a watch later. This is a watch later. I guess I'll finish this fucking thing.
I know.
Oh, it's members only content. Oh. Could be, yeah, it could be just got that picture off the internet. We'll see.
Are you a racist?
If that makes me racist, so be it. I wear it proudly. I've had enough. I want everyone gone.
So someone's going to come knock on my door?
It's not personal. It's necessary.
That will not work.
To find out who would have to be removed, the easiest way to do this is medical records.
This is mental.
I don't believe you're European. I think you're Jewish.
But I'm not going to Israel.
Yeah, if I had power, mate, you would be.
You shake your leg and get aggressive when we talk about Jews being European. I'm not shaking my leg and just giving you...
I just have a twitch.
The twitch only comes up when Jews are mentioned. We can move on to another topic if you want to.
I can envision millions of people being thrown onto planes and deported from my country.
I think Tommy Robinson will fight against that.
Tommy Robinson will do, because he's a traitor. Tommy Robinson has loads of foreign friends. He promotes multiculturalism. He's a Zionist piece of shit.
Do you have any room in your mind for that you might be wrong?
No.
See, that's the sign of an ideologue. Can you do me a favour? If you get value from these conversations, hit subscribe.
I've never done this before, but I've taken a leaf out of Elon Musk's book and included several notes throughout this episode to clarify moments that are inaccurate or misleading. Podcast interviews are a unique and engaging way to bring important societal issues into the public conversation, but they lack real-time fact-checking. That means mistakes can slip through, including some I made here. Like me, many of my viewers are rightly concerned about the state of the country and its lack of direction and identity. My guiding principle, however, remains the same. I judge people on the content of their character, not their immutable characteristics, no matter how tempting it may be, particularly in dark times, to do otherwise. I thought carefully about my own role in platforming Steve Laws, because I believe some of his ideas are dangerous. As with many ideologues, much of what he says sounds reasonable, which can make the fallacies underpinning his conclusions difficult to spot in real time. Still, this is Heretics, and it's my belief that bad ideas don't die in the dark, they die in the light. With that spirit in mind, and knowing that racists will likely be out in force in the comments, I ask that you contribute, even if you don't usually, especially if you don't usually. Comment on this one, because I want to know what you actually think. Steve Laws, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on, buddy. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome to be here. It's good to have this conversation. And let's start with, I suppose, who are you? You were recently on Liam Tuff's podcast, good friend of mine, where you had this debate, which we'll sort of get into those things. And on it, he said, are you a racist? And you said you don't shy away from that term. So can we just start with, are you a racist?
If you want to call me a racist, it really doesn't bother me in the slightest. My priority is putting my people first. If that makes me racist, then so be it. I'll wear it proudly. That's my position. I wouldn't go around and say, "Hi, Andrew, I'm Steve the racist." That's not how I'd introduce myself. I would just say, I put my people first. I'm a nationalist, and I love my people, and I want to protect their future. So if that makes me racist, so be it. I wear it proudly.
In that sense, you're probably the most prominent racist in the country, the biggest racist in the UK.
Well, nationalist is the term I would use. I wouldn't introduce myself as racist. But yes, I would argue that probably one of the largest nationalist accounts in the UK. Not civic nationalist, but real nationalist.
Okay, so that's something that we'll have to explain, because a lot of the audience will know what all of that means, but a lot won't be in with the ins and outs. There's kind of a civil war almost on the right. I don't even know if it's a civil war going on between, what is it? You can explain civil nationalism and ethno-nationalism. What are these terms?
So ethno-nationalism is nationalism. There is only one form of nationalism. Civic nationalism is some absurd mixed direction that's been taken away. It's realistically, civic nationalists are liberals that do not like Islam. And that's pretty much their position. A lot of civic nationalists think that anyone can be British. They think that you come over, you're born here, you're British. That's their position, and they think that's okay. Whereas a nationalist, my position is that England belongs to the English. This is our land, and we should protect our future. Our people are on the verge of becoming a demographic minority in our own homeland. That's unacceptable, and my line is total remigration.
So civic, I suppose, is about the country. That's what it means. It's like it's a nationalism that just is and of itself. It's just nationalism. And then you're saying it's just nationalism, but then those who are like me would say yours is ethno-nationalism because it is dependent on one's ethnicity.
But that is nationalism. It's based on a nation state which is built upon ethnicities. So on that stage, yes, basically to simplify, the civic nationalist approach is about values, whereas ours is about ethnicity and people and our blood and our people.
What is an ethnicity exactly? It's not quite a race or a culture, is it?
No, it's sort of in between. So an ethnic group are a distinct group of people that have been formed over a various amount of time. So the English are a distinct ethnic group, the Scottish are a distinct ethnic group, the Welsh are a distinct ethnic group, and so forth. And these people are the owners of this land. We've created this land. Our people have built this country. They've put blood and soil into this. And the future of our people is England. And without England, without the English, there is no England. So ultimately, the ethnic groups have the ultimate hierarchy on the country. So England, the English are white people, but we are English by ethnicity. So not all white people are English, but all English people are white.
Not all white people are English, but all English people are white. Okay, I see what you're saying. Of English ethnicity then, how do we boil that down? What do you do with kind of Saxons, Anglo-Saxons, Celts, all of those kinds of things?
So this is an argument that leftists would always, and civic nationalists would always present to you, and they'll say, well, what about this small admixture of, let's have a look at the world map. This is the world map. This tiny little circle in the middle is where our people were formed from the Germanic sphere. And we built this land over 1,000 years. Nobody would say that the Maori are not indigenous to New Zealand, but everyone would say that the English are not indigenous to England, even though we've been in this land longer.
I would say the English are indigenous to England.
But overall, from a leftist argument, that's what they would say.
The left would say that.
Yeah.
So I think that's where civic nationalists like me would have some sympathy with. It's not just about Islam. I think there's some sympathy with this idea of like, hey, come on, there's no magic soil. The people who built this incredible culture, which we've got here, I think the best culture in the world that we've built, were built by a bunch of people of similar ethnicities, right? But it is true that they are multiple ethnicities, right? English, we are talking about several things, and with Scottish, it's like the Scots and the Celts and the Vikings and stuff.
We are a distinct ethnic group that has been built up over time. So over 1,000 years, these these distinct groups that have formed together to create the ethnogenesis of the English, that's who we are as a people. So to deny that and say we're various ethnic groups is ridiculous. Of course, we're distinct from the Scottish, or we're distinct from the Welsh and the Irish and so forth, but we're also very similar because we have a lot of shared history. But to say that we're not a distinct ethnic group is completely denying who the English are. And that's unacceptable.
But it's a distinct ethnic group made up of several ethnicities.
Yes, and that's how ethnic groups are formed over time.
And they came together and did well. So it's not inconceivable. There are problems at the moment, but it's not inconceivable that other ethnicities could join this and also then become part of this greater ethnicity that builds something better.
No. They can't. We've built our people as who we are now. We don't want England to form into another. We don't want the English to form into another ethnic group that's mixed in with some Bangladeshis and some Indians or some Africans or whatever it may be, because then that's not the English.
Yeah, but that's what the Anglo-Saxons would have said when the Normans came over. We don't want them coming over in, and it actually went pretty well in the end.
Yeah, and this is over 1,000 years ago. And these times are very different to what they are now. Those were invaders. They were not welcomed in to actually replace your people and let them sit back and watch it happen and actually pay for the privilege of it as well.
Well, they assimilated and they mixed and then they created this amazing culture. There were also back then from 1066 there were Jews as well. So we had Normans, Jews.
But Jews were also expelled from the UK as well.
Yeah, and then brought back in.
Yeah,
but they've
unfortunately.
Right, I see. Several hundred years ago, I think Jews have contributed quite well to this country.
How would you say so?
Well, I think they're sort of 30% of Nobel Prize winners. So they're pretty good in technology. Einstein is pretty good.
So does that mean that because some of these people have done some great achievements that all of their people can stay here?
Well, I think they've actually been responsible for an overwhelming number of the achievements.
I would argue that your achievements are irrelevant because our people come first. It doesn't matter, even if our people struggle and we're the worst people in the world, we are still a distinct group of people that deserves our own homeland. Jewish people have, despite the controversy around it, have their own homeland to return to. There is nowhere else for my people to go to. This is our final battleground. You guys have somewhere else to go. We do not.
Is that where you would send me, Israel?
Yeah.
What if Israel didn't want me?
They would take you. You've got Jewish ethnicity.
What if I don't want to go to Israel?
That's not really your choice, unfortunately. But if I'm in a position of power where I can control the immigration situation in the country, it's not a choice for you. Unfortunately, you may not like the outcome, but that's what I would do. Yes.
And look, I think this has to be a place where people can say what they want to say. I mean, that's the whole point of Heretics. It's the whole point of YouTube. It's the whole point of all of this. Conversations that are not being had on TV. So, fair play to you for saying it. I don't want to go. I don't speak Hebrew. I don't know that culture. I've been there a couple of times to visit over the years, as many not Jewish people have as well. But I never really considered myself anything other than English from a young age.
So if you had to choose between your Jewish ethnic group and the English ethnic group, who would you choose?
I don't believe in caring about ethnic groups. I would just choose England as a country. If we were talking about England versus Israel, I would choose England every time.
So what about if all of the Jews that was in the UK started
defending Israel in the
UK? Would you condemn them?
Yeah.
So you're in a distinct group. That still doesn't change my opinion that I would remove you from the country. And it's not personal. In my opinion, it's necessary. And no disrespect, but some of your people are very much responsible for the immigration that comes into our country.
Well, if
you look at the organisations, the institutions, the politicians who they're married to, the leaders of these NGOs, etc., they're all Jewish.
Yeah.
And that means that these people, I'm not saying all Jews do this, but there is a strong influence in immigration to the UK with connections to the Jewish organisations and Jewish lobbies. And to me, that's very problematic because our people are being demographically replaced and your people are helping that happen.
There are a lot of Jews doing that.
Yeah.
And this is a cause of frustration among many Jews who are silenced. I mean, who aren't able to put forward the other side so much. And the reason for that is mostly TV channels and the like will not even let us speak. I can't go on. As much as you're much more controversial than I am, I'm still so controversial that I can't even get my view on our TV channels. I think this reminds me of, I had a sort of debate with a human rights lawyer recently who was the ultra kind of woke, let's bring in lots of immigration, those kinds of, that was the kind of thing. And he had some Jewish ancestry in him, but mostly was white English, right? And most people in the tweets below and all the comments were saying, aha, see that guy, Clive Stafford Smith, he's a Jew, that's why. And the irony to me was, here are two people talking, but one of them is fully Jewish. I'm as Jewish as it gets, Ashkenazi, all of those things. Arguing vehemently against immigration with someone who has some Jewish blood in him, who is arguing for immigration. But the only blood in the room at that point arguing for immigration and more immigration was white English blood. So it's definitely something that I think you guys sometimes miss. There's a huge number of woke people in this country who are white English. You've noticed those people.
Yeah. And those people are a problem, but they are still our people, whether we like it or not. I don't agree with their ideology. I don't agree with what they want for this country, but they're still my people. They still have a right to this land.
Well, so do Jews. They've been here since 1066.
Yeah, but they also do not. This is not your land.
But
this is not
what does
your
that mean?
country.
Whose land was it? It wasn't the Normans' land before they
This is the
came over.
English land. This is built by England.
And what does
belongs
England
to the
mean?
English.
England comprises Jewish as well.
England is the land of the Angles. It's
Right.
named after
Well,
us.
tell the
right?
Normans that.
The Normans didn't really have much input in terms of our DNA.
They've definitely changed and shaped our culture.
They shaped our culture and influenced our organisations and institutions, but they very much did not interfere in our ethnic group in terms of our ethnicity.
How is that possible? What does that mean?
Because they're very much the elite. They're very much the elites that came over when there was the Normans and so forth. But going back to your point,
purple mace.
England belongs to the English. It doesn't matter whether you do not like that outcome. This is why, for instance, you would be in the civic nationalist position because you've got skin in the game. Because if you lent into the ethno state sort of approach, like your homeland does, like if, for instance, Israel's allowed an ethno state, sure, it's around 78%, but they're expanding and they're making more living room for Jewish people, and the only people that really have any right in that country are Jewish people.
What do you mean, any rights?
A non-Jew could not lead that country. Why can Israel have an ethno state but the English can't? We only have one land. This is our land. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter how long you've been here. It doesn't matter if you was born here, your grandparents were born here. It means nothing to me. Total remigration. Everyone has to go.
I think Israel, we need to remember it's actually several ethnicities, really. I mean, when you go there, like probably at least half of the people there are not white, so they're not Ashkenazi Jews. They're not the same ethnicity as me. We're talking about Ethiopian Jews, Mizrahi, Sephardi Jews.
It's a Jewish state. It's a Jewish state.
It's a Jewish state.
Yeah, it's not it's not an ethnic state on terms of separate Jewish ethnicities. It's a state for the Jews.
It's about a culture, though, really, with Jews.
Yes,
if you converted to Judaism, you could go as well. It's not an easy thing to do.
If I converted to Judaism tomorrow, they would not take me in. Not that I would do it.
They might not take you in.
No. So this is my point. It's all in favour of the Jews. Everything in that country is in favour of the Jews. This is, and there's nothing wrong with that. You want a country that's in favour of your own people. Fine. Crack on. My problem is that it affects my country. What goes on in Israel affects my country. Why does that happen? Why should that happen? Why are my politicians in the pocket of Jewish lobby groups? Why are all of these NGOs flooding immigrants into my country? Why are we allowing this to happen?
I think if you look for a pattern, you're going to see it, unfortunately. And if you see
but patterns
Jews
exist for a reason.
Patterns exist for a reason. Well, yeah, because humans are scared. Humans are scared, so they look for patterns to find a way to fight against something. Your country and my country has been recently completely changed demographically, and it's a really scary thing. So we look for who can we blame? Who can we blame this on? Look, I'm Jewish. All my family's Jewish. Everyone I know is Jewish. I can tell you, none of them are pro-immigration, particularly Islamic immigration, which is the majority of what we're talking about. But you're seeing a pattern in certain NGOs. I see it on Twitter all the time. Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates and Keir Starmer, all these people are Jewish, and Tony Blair and David Cameron. And then none of them are Jewish.
No, but their advisors were.
Yes,
the Home Secretary, like for instance, the Blair era, who flooded into the country. On their cabinet, like 5 of them were Jews.
Well, that's because Jews are overachievers.
No, they're overrepresented.
They're overrepresented in Nobel Prizes as well, as I said.
And they also have the victim cards.
But this should be a good thing to be overrepresented because you've.
No, it's not. Why should a foreign?
But it wasn't DEI policies, was it, back then?
Yeah, but why should a foreign ethnic group be overrepresented in my own
homeland? Because it's not a foreign ethnic group. They've been here for over 1,000 years.
No, you are a foreign ethnic group. You're not English.
Over 1,000 years.
You're not English.
Been here over 1,000. I am English.
I don't care if you've been here 2,000 years. It's not your land. England belongs to the English.
Have you done a My Heritage test or one of those tests?
Yes.
Right, and what, 100% English?
98%.
What's the other 2%?
Irish.
Right. Well, there you go.
There you go. English.
Well, partly Irish.
But with 2%.
Is Harry Kane English?
He's Irish.
He's Irish?
Yes, because he's got Irish ancestry.
This kind of obsession, look, I get where it comes from.
No, but this is where it comes from, because you're going down the route of what about this 2%? That's not an argument that I even present. This is not an argument that I come through and use on my campaigns. My campaign is England belongs to the English. If your grandparents are English and their grandparents are English, you're English.
Well, then fine, I'm English.
You're not
Good.
English, though. You're not an English. You're not.
My grandparents were English.
You're not English.
Well, they're all born in England.
Doesn't matter. Being born in England. If I was born in a barn, would I be a fucking horse? do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. Like, using that argument is nonsense.
I think to define someone's nationality, you can probably look at where they and their ancestors are from. And if mine are from England, then I think I've got a good argument for saying that I am English. Now, you would say ethnically English, and I would say, okay, well, what is that? Again, we're going back to that. And I don't think you have an answer to that, unfortunately. Anglo-Saxon, Norman, Celtic, and back from 1066, Jews.
So this is a thing, right? From your perspective, all you care about is the Jewish argument. All your interest your interest isn't what's best for this country. Your interest is, I want to stay in this country. It's for me. I want to stay here. My family were born here.
But why do you say
So
that's my own? That's all we've spoken about so far. Why do you say that all of my interest is Jewishness? We can move on to another topic if you want to.
No, carry on by
we
all
went
means.
Jewish because you said I shouldn't be here.
No, I
anymore,
don't.
and you
I
sent me back
don't believe
to
you should
Israel.
be. Yeah.
Well, I understand that, and I respect the opinion, and I think
And
we
it's
should
not
have this
personal.
conversation.
And it's not
I know.
personal. It's just necessary. My people are being demographically replaced in my homeland. A lot of your people are responsible for that. And
But more of your people are.
Yeah, there are people who played a
Vastly
part
more.
as well.
Vastly more of your people are responsible.
Yes, but having foreign subversives help
But
those
we're not
things.
foreign. We've been here since 1066.
You
We've
are
gone over
foreign.
this.
To me, you're
We've been
foreign.
here since 1066.
To me, you're foreign. You disagree.
Well, to me, you're 2% Irish.
I'm an Englishman.
Yes.
I'm looking at you as a Jew, and I'm telling you you are foreign.
Well, you wouldn't have known that if I didn't tell you.
No, your name's Gold.
Yeah, well,
your name's Gold.
Goldstein.
Yeah, we could change it to another name.
Yeah, so that's what you're subverting yourself even more to try and hide amongst the population. It's just proving my point that you people are foreign.
Yeah, I don't think that's really proof. I mean, you just put Livramento in an England team that you think was English. I mean, I don't think you've got a grasp on names and where
that
they're
was
from.
just a troll post.
Yeah, it was a troll post that you got badly wrong.
No, it was a
and
troll
it made
post.
You look very silly.
It was a troll post in terms of I was just trolling people.
Yeah,
not
so
everything.
Keep
Not everything.
Livramento, but
so
not
everything I post on Twitter is taken as something serious. So
I think you can admit you got that one wrong.
So if I checked
Look
your
at
Twitter
this
feed and went through every single
I would admit
post,
that I got some of them wrong.
I did.
That was
I'm
a bit
not saying
silly.
What the English
going
team?
on here?
With Livramento in it, saying if we didn't have different ethnicities, this is what the England team would.
Yeah, I
look
was just doing it for a joke. Some things are a joke. Like
Yeah, but you didn't leave any-
you're reading too much into a throwaway like shit post on
Come
Twitter,
on,
Andrew.
Steve.
Like it's silly.
We've
You
got
can
good faith
you're-
arguments here.
You're
You can say
trying,
I got it wrong.
No, I don't have to admit anything. What I'm trying to explain to you, and what you're trying to push to me
Was
is
Kane
that
in that team?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Well, that's unacceptable.
Yeah, because it was a joke post, Andrew.
Oh, come on.
Honestly,
It
are we
wasn't.
really going to spend 10 minutes of the podcast talking about a joke post?
It's been 1 minute so far.
Okay.
And England is, you want English ethnicity. What I'm trying to say to you is I actually understand where you're coming from, and I get it. And it's a scary time right now, and it does feel that way. And it might be hard for you to imagine this, but for Jewish people as well, most of us, it does also feel really scary. For black people, it probably feels very scary. I can't speak for them. It feels scary what is happening, how quickly it's happening to this country. So I do get it. I'm not trying to have a go. I get where you're coming from. What I'm trying to say to you is this is all impossible to enact. So
how is it impossible to enact?
Because you can't really imagine a situation where
No,
people
you
are going...
can't imagine it. I can. I can envision it straight away. I can envision millions of people being thrown onto planes and deported from my country.
I don't think
that.
you've thought it through.
What do you mean I haven't thought it through?
There would be a massive civil war.
What define the civil war?
Okay, okay.
How would you envision a civil war? Because how I envision...
Most people would stand up for the minorities being thrown out.
But by most, define most.
Okay.
Those that live in the city centres.
Think of all the people who support you, right?
Yeah.
And then think of everyone else in the country.
Yeah.
And which one's bigger?
Yeah, but you're assuming everyone in the country is going to take that side, when in reality they're going to sit out and not get involved.
No, I think people will get
but
very
you think the average mum and dad that goes on the school run is going to go out on the street and fight against people because they're deporting immigrants?
I think Tommy Robinson will fight against that.
Yeah, Tommy Robinson will do because he's a traitor.
Yeah, well, he gets hundreds of thousands of people going to his rallies. How many people go to yours?
Yeah, but he's getting hundreds of thousands of people, leading them astray, and they're only going to that rally because it's the only rally in town.
Do you have any room in your mind for that you might be wrong?
No.
See, that's the sign of an ideologue.
I don't care.
Yeah, but you might be wrong here. What's going on?
No, I believe I'm right. The future of my people is non-negotiable. I want England to belong to the English, okay?
You're living in the past, man.
No, I'm not living in the past.
That's gone.
England's not gone. England will thrive. We will get our country back.
But how?
People like you leaving.
So someone's going to come knock on my door?
No, you'll get a letter.
No, you'll get a letter.
Give you time to get your affairs in order, and then you'll be deported.
How much time? I've got lots of stuff to get.
Well, this is open.
A few weeks.
Personally, I would give you, It would be in stages. I wouldn't just go, everyone's going at one time. I would start with the illegal immigrants, and then I'll go on to the foreign criminals, ease it into the public so they can get used to deportations. Then you go for the immigrants that are not working. Then you go for the immigrants that are subverting institutions and so forth. And then you go for mandatory deportations, and you do it in a staged process. How long that takes, I'm open to negotiations. But ultimately, millions have to leave my country, or my people are going to be replaced in our homelands. That's my line. I don't care who you are. Anyone who's foreign has to go, and I'm going to keep that line until we get our country back. You may say that this is unreasonable and this is harsh, and the people may fight against it. But if you look at the likes of Bob Dylan, let's say that mixed race fella that was shouting, "Heard you want your country back." Most people would never dream of calling for deportations of mixed race people and so forth, right? It's not their average go-to British person. I would, but it's not the average British person's position. But the moment he was saying, "I heard you want your country back," everyone's like, "Deport this man, get him out of my country." So when they're threatened and they realise that their future is at stake, and this person's putting them in a position where they feel like they've got something to lose, people react very differently to how they think they would in person.
Right. I think you're just fighting my corner here, because I'm saying, based on someone's behaviour and actions, we decide whether or not they get to stay in the country. So I agree with you, because of what that Bob Dylan guy said.
I don't base someone on their actions
You
and
just
behaviour.
said because of what he said.
No,
everyone was on board.
Yeah,
not because he's mixed race.
No, but that's why they was on board. I'm not saying that's the position I would take. I'm saying that's the position that the public would. You're misinterpreting what I was saying there. Ultimately, what I'm saying is the public will move to that position when they feel threatened.
Yeah, when they feel threatened by someone's actions, when someone's getting up on stage saying, "Heard you want your country back," they go, "Get out, mate."
Yeah, and why is he in this country?
Well, because his parents are from it. I think he probably has a white parent.
There's a white parent who also has a non-white parent. If that non-white was not into the country, he wouldn't even be existing. He wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be here to tell us we want our country back.
Again, like, if the Normans didn't come in, if the
you keep going back to
but
the
that's
Normans.
history.
Yeah, history.
That's history. It's
Yeah.
changed too quickly recently. We agree on that.
Ooh,
It's been too
there's some
quick.
new
It's been
stuff.
overwhelming. And I agree as well. We need people with more similar culture if we're going to be moving them over. I get it, like people from Europe, for example. I agree as well that skin colour can be an issue. I think mostly because the woke make it an issue by constantly pushing diversity policies. They're telling people, don't look at skin colour, but by the way, we're going to implement
Yeah, but
policies.
even using the argument of skin colour, that completely disarrays from what we're arguing about. Race is more than skin color. It's down to diet, to IQ, to behaviour, to all sorts of factors. So just pinpointing it and saying, "Oh, it's because they're black." Of course, they are black, but they're also foreign. I don't want Albanians here. They're not black. They're not brown. No, because Albanians come over, they sell drugs, they create gangs, they cause violence.
Yeah.
Just like when the Muslims come over, they create problems, they attack people, they create rape gangs and so forth. When the Jews come over, they get involved in organisations, they call for more immigration, they subvert institutions, and they push their own as high as they possibly can.
Yeah.
Because all of these groups have self-interest, and you can't blame that. I have self-interest. My interest is the English people, and my priority is the English people. All of these foreigners have the same interest, but for their own, not for us. And push comes to shove, you may say, "Yeah, this geezer's nice. He loves it. He supports England, blah, 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 blah." But when push comes to shove and it's our people or his people, he's choosing his people. When push comes to shove and you had to choose between the English people and the Jewish people, you're choosing the Jewish people.
I'm choosing the English people. If
Okay,
there's some
so
sort of thing.
all of my guys went to
Shrouded,
protest
that's what that
outside
was.
outside the synagogue. You're going to side with me, or are you going to side with the
what are
Jews?
you protesting?
Immigration.
Why are you protesting outside the
Because
synagogue?
the rabbis funding a NGO organisation that's flooding the country with immigrants.
I would
We'd
take him
call
to
it a
task.
one.
I would speak to him and say, "What are you doing, mate?"
15 damage. It is shroud
Stop
damage.
this. It's
Cool.
ridiculous. Immigration's gone through
And he
the
says,
roof.
"No, I'm not
Magic
stopping this.
shuriken,
I'm going to fight against these
Then,
fascists
yeah,
and
I agree with you. Then
Nazis."
get out, mate. Get out. Done with you. Get out of here.
Okay, so you're slightly different to other people.
Stupid rabbi.
But it doesn't
No,
change my position.
I don't. I think you'd be surprised if you actually got out. And I mean, you've said before that you.
And
got
then
a very
half
light area,
halo,
and I think,
halos,
without wanting to revert
half
to
light
race, it would be
halos,
quite a woke argument.
just piercing
if
and
you had grown up
shuriken.
around people from
Shit.
different cultures and ethnicities, I think you'd be able to at least see them as more human.
It's not that I don't see them as human. I just don't see them as my own.
Yeah, but unfortunately,
If they lived in their own homelands, I wish them all the best. Crack on, mate.
you saw what. Let's go back to the realism argument here of what you want to implement, right? You saw what happened when they tried to take a kid away from some traveller family, right? And where was that?
Yeah.
Up in near Leeds somewhere, wasn't it?
Yeah, the
Right.
Leeds Hackshore or something like that. I can't
Whole
remember what
city nearly burned down because they wanted to take kids away from what might have been abusive parents. Imagine going through and taking millions and millions and millions of people
and how
who haven't done anything wrong.
How that happens, though, what's not being told is the civil servants have already tipped off the locals on what's going to happen. The NGO groups are in there rallying them up and winding them up, and the police didn't even go in there heavy-handed. They turned up, knocked on the door. They got mobbed by all of the foreigners in the area, and then backed off and went. When in reality, you send a task force who's going to say, right, we're taking this person. It doesn't matter how wound up they're getting. This person's getting deported because they deserve to be deported for whatever reason.
Yeah,
they're going.
Yeah.
If that person was a murderer,
so would we?
Let's just say hypothetically, if that was an English person who was a murderer or something, that person's not getting away with it because the community came out and said, no, actually, mate.
Yeah, but these people haven't committed crimes.
Yes, but they have.
The
crime is that they're in our country.
But they didn't commit a crime by coming into this country, did they? That's
they
you're
are
talking
victims,
about
they're victims
a moral
of immigration.
crime.
Yeah, they're victims of immigration by being here and being promised a land and a future that's not actually available to them. The way that the politics is changing in this country, there is going to be mass deportations. There's going to be remigration. Whether it goes as far as I want it or not, that's open to discussion.
No, it definitely won't. It's not open to discussion.
You can't say that. You physically can't say that.
I can.
You can't
say it.
How can you
say that?
Of course I can say it. Because 100 years ago, they would say there was no such place as Israel, and it's never going to go. And you're never going to have an Israel.
Sure.
You're never going to have a land, and then all of a sudden, now there's an Israel. That was never going to happen. Now you've got it. To say that I can't take my country back is nonsense.
Yeah.
You're only saying it because you've got skin in the game.
That's not true at all.
That's
not true at all.
Well,
I
here's
think,
the thing.
Why is Tommy Robinson saying it?
Because Tommy Robinson has loads of foreign friends. He promotes multiculturalism. He's a Zionist piece of shit, and that's why he promotes all that.
What's wrong with Zionism if you're also pro the idea of a country?
Because he's not pro-England, he's pro-Israel. He's pro-Israel before pro-England. His priorities are Israel before England.
I don't think that's true.
I do.
Why do you think that's true?
Because that's all of his interests.
Well, that's one of his many
He's
interests.
paid to do that as well. He's paid to subvert the movement and lead people to nowhere. How can you prove that?
How can you prove he is paid?
Because I just look at his actions. I look
See,
at
this
how
is
wealthy
the problem.
Here's the thing. He's a wealthy man living in Spain who's made an awful lot of money
he's not a wealthy
out of achieving nothing.
He's not a wealthy man.
He's a wealthy man.
No, he's not. Why do you think he's a wealthy man? Do you have evidence of that?
What, because he hasn't got all of his assets in his own name?
Look, Steve,
mate,
can only be opened at night.
Cool. Ideology. We spoke of half an hour, right? I've got to it, and I think that what you've said about Tommy, I think that's ultimately it. You're looking for patterns, and you're not bright enough. I'm sorry, you're not. You're bright, but you're not bright enough to actually look for evidence and put things together. So you go, Tommy Robinson's a very wealthy man. You have no idea. You have no idea. Is Tommy a wealthy man? He's putting Israel before England. Is he? He's being paid for these posts. Is he? You have no idea about
there's
any of these
videos
things.
of Tommy Robinson saying if there's a war in Israel tomorrow, I would be on the side of Israel fighting for the Jews. There's videos of him saying this.
Yeah, against England?
It doesn't matter. He's not even English. He's an Irishman living in Spain, leading an English movement. That's what he is.
Look, I know you don't like Tommy, but this is it. You say a lot of things that are really intriguing, and I think people are going, "Oh gosh, that's good. Oh, interesting." But when you boil it down and you get to the actual points, you don't have them. You don't have the evidence.
For example, give an example.
Tommy.
Okay, let's take away Tommy. Let's just take away.
Okay, but you are someone who's happy to just come out with. You have no idea if he's wealthy.
I am very confident that he is a wealthy man. He's a wealthy man who owns his own home in Spain.
He's not a wealthy man. I don't think he is. Well, I don't know either.
Well, I think he is. There you go. So we're arguing about a position that either of us are not 100% sure on.
Exactly. But you said it as though you were, and I had to hold.
You're telling me that I'm wrong.
I'm telling you don't know.
Yeah, but you're saying I'm wrong and you can't prove it.
Yeah.
Whereas I can't prove it the other way around.
Well,
so both of our arguments. So both of our arguments there, and it's a stalemate.
Hang on. That again, see, you're twisting logic here. What actually happened there was I'm not making the argument that he is not a wealthy man. I don't really know. I imagine he's not. That's my opinion. I didn't go on a podcast and say the thing about Tommy Robinson is he's poor, because I have no idea. You did. You just came on and said he's a wealthy man. He's been paid by Israel. You made all of these allegations, and you have nothing to stack it up.
So who paid for his trip to Israel? Because it wasn't Tommy.
Why does that matter?
Because he's paid to do this stuff. He's given money to go and promote these ideas.
He's not given money to go and do these ideas. He's not.
Okay, well, we'll have to agree to disagree on that topic.
Well, we'll have to agree. We have to agree we don't know. But neither of us know. We need to agree that we don't know. I think you need to think that you know things or you don't. There has to be a certainty. And again, that's a problem with internet culture today. Everyone has to go, I know this answer, I know the answer. We don't know about Tommy's accounts and numbers and finances. And there's a lot of things that we don't know about. You don't know what would happen if we tried to go and knock on John Barnes's door and kick him out of the country.
Yeah, but neither do you.
No, we don't know. But we know that it's pretty scary.
But we do have historical
idea.
examples of mass populations being expelled from areas.
Yeah, well, the Nazis was one example.
Yeah, all the Germans got expelled after the war.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Jews getting expelled. I mean, the issue there was they were brought back in and put into camps and things, which I've also heard you say that you don't believe the numbers around that.
I don't trust the narrative.
And the numbers?
The numbers, yeah, that's part of the narrative. I question the numbers.
But the Nazis wrote those numbers themselves, the 6 million Jews. They wrote that they actually tell us that, the Nazis.
The testimonials.
There are loads. There's
a lot of people were testimonialed under duress, and there's also the fact that the people that run the industry around the Holocaust, right, are Jewish. They will have an inherent bias towards their own, naturally. Right?
The Nazis kept documents.
I don't trust
the Herfer telegram, the Cora reports.
I do not trust the narrative around the Holocaust.
That's
all I
say. Death books, Goebbels' diary.
I don't trust the narrative.
So nothing. So again, you're getting stats and getting things, and you're just going, well, I want to believe the thing I want to believe, and I'm going to believe it anyway.
So everyone was made into soap and lampshades.
I think a lot of people were. I don't know exactly what happened with the soap thing. I don't know.
So you trust the narrative that the soaps and
I trust the narrative that 6 million died.
You're going to because you're Jewish.
Well, and because I trust the Nazis were very good with numbers.
You have an inherent bias.
What do you say to the Auschwitz death books? What do you say to Goebbels' diary that pointed out that they did exterminate millions of Jews? And why does it matter to you? This is what I don't understand about the Groypers.
This is the thing. I never talk about the Holocaust.
Yeah.
I was asked about it on a podcast by Liam. It's not like I'm on Twitter saying Holocaust this, Holocaust that. You should know. You follow me. I don't talk about it unless I'm asked about it.
But this is something that's popular among the Groypers. Are you a Groyper?
No, I'm not a Groyper. Groypers are Nick Fuentes fans.
What's the difference in terms of what you guys would think?
Well, for instance, I would argue that the Groypers, most of them are brown. That's one thing. They're all foreign. They all live in America, from what I can gather, or Mexico, in places like that.
But their views
are very different to mine. They are very much like civic nationalists, but rather than being against Islam, they're against the Jews.
So would you say you're, compared to the average mainstream person, more extreme than the likes of Nick Fuentes?
I wouldn't say I'm more extreme. I'm just different on a different spectrum.
We have the contemporary census of Jews going down in Europe from 9.5 million to 3.5 million. We have Goebbels' diary. We have accounts from the Nazis. So if we are at a point in society where we just go, I don't know, I'm just going to say Tommy's this and he's getting paid when you've got no evidence. I don't know, the Jews are this. The Holocaust numbers are probably not right, even though we have Nazis.
I don't trust the narrative.
And you say that there's no room in your mind for doubt. Then what is the point of any? It just sounds like you've got a mad belief now.
You can refer to my ideology however you.
I wish there was more to it. I wish there was it was backed up by stats.
My position is simple, Andrew. I want my country back. I want England for the English. I do not want to be demographically replaced in my homeland.
Yeah.
My position is total remigration until everyone goes.
Not going to work.
It's a very simple. You may disagree, but it's a very simplistic line to take, right? That's the line I want. I want my country back. I do not care who I offend. I do not care about the emotional arguments.
Good on you.
I do not care about all of the nonsense around I was born here, or I came over legally, or I'm a good one, I've paid tax, and I've won a Nobel Prize, or so forth. That means nothing to me. What I'm saying is, it's irrelevant what your achievements are. You're still not English. It's still not your land.
Well, it is because Jews have been here since 1066. And look, I get your point. I don't know why Jews aren't part of it if they've been here since 1066. I get that they were expelled for 100 or 200 or 300 years and then came straight back and have still been here for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's ridiculous to go back to the 1600s and send people back to wherever they were there, as it would be for black people who have been here for a very long time. I do get your point, though, around, look, if it's someone's parents that have just moved over here, do we then say they're English? This is not easy. Right, I get it. If a Jewish person as well just moved over just from their parents, it's not easy. That's why this Welsh choir boy idea about what's his name, Rudolf Cabana, that's absurd, right? It's not a Welsh choir boy, is it? So I have sympathy with that, but ultimately, firstly, it's undoable. You can't go about just kicking out those people. The English people don't want it. Most English people don't want it. You're a complete minority
at the moment.
They'll never want that.
No, Brexit didn't happen until it did.
Yeah, but they did want Brexit. I mean,
but not everyone did at first.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get British people, English people, even people who have families who go back 1,000 years, kicking out the likes of Ian Wright from this country.
Well, I believe that will happen. Total remigration. Like I say, you're going to be on a different spectrum from me. Yeah. You've got self-interest for Jewish interest because you are Jewish.
It's not just Jews.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. Okay, so all minority groups. Let's say you've got a sympathetic approach for them because you are a minority group. So you put yourself in a similar category to them. Whether you like to admit it or not, you see yourself as other.
Look, the same goes for you. I get it, and you feel scared and you feel trapped and you're looking around going, shit, this is changing. And I agree with you. It is scary and it has happened too fast and things need to be done about that. But if I'm seeing someone who is motivated not by facts but by fear, and it's just completely undoable, and it goes completely against what I would call British values of fairness and equality.
Those fairness and equality values are what led our people to be demographically replaced in our homeland. It's what's led to the rape gangs. It's what's led to the drug gangs. It's what's led to the assaults and the murders of our people. That's why
that was perverted fairness.
It doesn't matter. It's still what led to it.
No, but it wasn't what I'm talking about, though. That wasn't liberalism and how it should be carried out. That wasn't my idea of what a liberal society is. That was basically communism, or social communism of some sorts. That was people going equity. That was people bringing people in and denigrating our own culture and saying to those people that their culture is better and we must celebrate them, instead of saying to them, if you come here, you assimilate to this
I don't
country.
believe in assimilation. I don't think it happens. Integration's complete myth.
Yeah, it's hard.
If you walk around certain areas of London, like the Jewish areas, like they're not integrated. Like you can say that yourself. Like you dress more like an Englishman than most of your people.
Hang on, but you've got an idea about most of the people, because again, you're seeing those guys who are the nutters wearing the black hats and all those kinds of things. I never met one of those guys growing up in my life.
I'm not saying you have. I'm not assuming that. I'm not assuming anything
but
about
we're
your
very
life.
different.
Yes,
So
but what I'm
those
saying,
guys don't assimilate, and I agree with you.
And there's not just those groups. We could go into Indians. We could go into Muslims. We could go into travellers. There's all various different groups. They just stick amongst their own. I live in a town called Folkestone. Just over from me is a little small town called Cheriton. That's where the Gurkhas are based. And they have taken over a whole portion of that town. They have their own shops. They have their own schools. They have their own, even like money shops and so forth. Like it's all built around them. They keep themselves to themselves. And like, I'm not saying these are horrible people. They serve in the army and so forth, but they should still be going home because they're taking over areas of our country, claiming it for their own.
Yeah.
And it's just like a foreign enclave.
Look, I have sympathy with a lot of those thoughts. I do, and I think the Civ Nats or whatever do have crossover with the Ethnats. You know, I think there's a crossover in shit, man. You know, and a lot of what you're saying visibly.
My position is a reaction to the problems that are at hand.
Yeah.
That's a fair assessment.
But it's not realistic.
It doesn't matter whether you agree with it's realistic
or not.
No, it's
not. No one agrees with that.
Who you say no one? That's a complete lie.
Almost no one. You were not even in Homeland anymore because you're too extreme for them.
No, I left Homeland because it completely imploded.
But wasn't it? I read it was because a gay guy was involved.
It's not just because of a gay guy. There was massive problems internally, from top to bottom. But yes, the one that brought onto the timeline was the gay drama that sort of escalated the whole situation. But that wasn't the founding reason for it destroying. There was fundamental issues with the remigration policies, with the direction we was going as a party, who we're going to appeal to and so forth. Whereas, for instance, the leadership of the Homeland Party wanted to appeal to the moderates. And I said, no, we should build up a baseline of nationalists first and then appeal out to the centre grounds, because without having a core activist base and ideology built up for the party, is going to collapse when you bring in all of these people for the big tent when everyone doesn't really agree on it. So we'd have people that were Zionist and we'd have people that weren't Zionist. We'd have people that sort of were like pagans, and we'd have people that were Christians and so forth. And all of these people have different goals at the end of the day. So getting this big tent of organisations is why it collapsed amongst itself.
There aren't enough people who simply agree with all of your causes. It's never going to work. That's the point. And there are a lot of people who will
At the moment, no. But there was a lot of people that wouldn't move towards Tommy's position when he first started out. And now look, everyone's anti-Muslim and so forth. So to say it's not going to happen is ridiculous.
Yeah, I can't imagine it happening.
I know you can't, because it would mean you'd leave the country. You can't envision that.
You know what? It's funny you say that, because when I first started thinking about this idea, it didn't even occur to me that it might be Jews as well. I just thought black people, people from various other places, and that horrified me in itself. It horrifies me.
But I don't discriminate. I don't discriminate on who I'm removing. I'm not. This is something like this is the thing. Like, I'm not going right just because you're black. All blacks have got to go. Everyone else is fine. Or all
Indians. Would you do
have
tests
got to
on
go.
people?
No.
So how would you know?
What do you mean? How would you know?
Okay, so my name's Gold. That's how you know I'm Jewish. There's plenty of people who I know who are Jewish who do not have Jewish names. You wouldn't know they're not Jewish. What would you do?
There'll be records.
There'll be records. No, not always.
Well, mostly. They will mostly be records.
Christopher Hitchens, he didn't know he was Jewish until he was in his 50s or something, and he found out that his mum had hid that she was Jewish.
Yeah.
Right? What would we do with Hitchens? Would he be kicked out?
Yeah.
This is mental. And was he
Total remigration. Everyone
kicked
has to
out
go.
after he found out? How would you have
Total
found out?
remigration.
His mum had hidden it her
Total
whole life.
remigration is my line, right?
Yeah, but you won't
and
know.
it's complicated. It's complicated. Yes, and there would be an awful lot of work and research that would have to go in to find out who would have to be removed and so forth. And the easiest way to do this is medical records.
Right.
That's the easiest way to go.
Medical
through
records.
Yeah, medical records, because everyone's information already stored.
Right.
There's more information on medical records than there are on immigration data or your national insurance and so forth.
You have no worries about the kind of authoritarianism required by a government that would have to be able to look into everybody's medical records and check exactly their ethnicity makeup.
The extreme position is our people being demographically replaced in our homeland. Anything we have to do to reverse that is okay with me.
So how much English, and by that I suppose you mean Anglo-Saxon and Celtic and Norman blood, how do they have to have in them to stay?
I wouldn't do it down to percentage.
Then what?
So I'd do it from your parents and their parents and their parents. And
what if their parents have 60% and their grandparents have got 50 and 80 and all that?
So this is the thing. Like when people start asking these questions, they're coming down more radical than I am. You're coming from a far more radical approach than what I even present. Because you're saying, right, let's go down the argument of let's find this percentage and let's do this and let's do that. And I'm saying let's just go through from their parents and their parents and their parents.
But what does that mean?
What does that mean?
That doesn't
Everyone
mean
knows.
anything.
Yes, it does.
What are their parents? Okay, let's imagine I think all my life I'm pure English. I'm Anglo-Saxon.
Yeah, but you know you're not.
Imagine it.
Okay,
my name's Bob and I'm from Manchester and blah blah whatever.
Yeah.
And I find out that actually my parents, we did an ethnicity test on them, and they're 50. One of them's 50% English and actually 60% Irish, or 50% Irish. Sorry, and one of them's got 20% from Spain or some such thing. How do you work all of this out?
So that person would be fine. First off, they're all European, so that's not an issue to me.
Okay, so European's fine.
Overall, I wouldn't want millions of Germans.
So you are
I wouldn't want
Jews.
millions. No.
But they're European.
I would argue they're not.
Well, no, you can't argue they're not. They are.
I don't believe you're European.
Why not?
Same way that I wouldn't class Albanians as European.
Okay, but Ashkenazi Jews are European.
Not to me.
So here we go. We got, and you sort of when you talk about this, you get an aggressive look in your eye.
I don't mean it aggressively. I'm just answering you bluntly.
I've noticed it a few times. You shake your leg and get aggressive when we talk about Jews being European or whatever. There's clearly a very strong emotion in you, and I get it, you know, and I get that these things are scary.
You keep using the scary argument as if, like, what do you mean by scary?
I think it makes you very angry because you're scared and defensive. It's scary. Well, look, it is scary not just for you. It's scary for me seeing what's happening to this country, and it can sometimes lead to us to react in very emotional ways instead of actually looking at hard, cold facts. All I'm hearing is emotion, and you cannot have someone just run totally on emotion, and that's why people are not following you enough, and that's why they won't. There has to be some rationalization. There has to be some reason involved, some logic.
All your logic and argument comes back to is Jews can stay in England. That's always your position. That's all you care about.
It's the canary in the coal mine of your ridiculous philosophy.
No, but all I'm saying is your position is Jews can stay in England. Jews are English. Jews this. Jews that. That's your position.
Let me add, blacks can stay in England.
We've been here for about 40 minutes, and for a half hour of it, we've been talking about Jews.
Hang on, I've talked about John Barnes. I've talked about how ridiculous it is to get rid of Ian Wright.
But mostly we've been here talking about Jews for about half hour, and it's all been inherently biased on your part because you are Jewish. You want Jewish people to remain in this country.
It's not biased on my part. I'm just giving you facts.
You're Jewish.
Oh, is that cutie?
The concentration camp, the logs that the Nazis kept, and you're coming back with just complete bananas.
No, you're coming back with emotional nonsense that
I'm giving
Jews
you
should remain in the country.
I don't feel emotional. I'm not shaking my leg and jumping around.
I just have a twitch. That's all it is.
The twitch only comes up when Jews are mentioned. You didn't twitch at all the other times. So I think there's an issue there, and it's emotional.
No, because what you're trying to do is paint a narrative of me, is to create that what I'm saying is inherently retarded, and the position you're going to present is never going to happen because this and this and this. But